Now, algebraic ratios makes use of your algebra fraction work and, in many respects, your quadratic work. First of all, what I would do is I would write this ratio as the fraction x minus 4 over 1, and it should equal this one, which as a fraction is 1 over x take 4. In the situation here, I can take this across the other side as a multiply, so I end up with x take 4, that's already there, times by x take 4. And for what it's worth, I could take that one across the other side as a times 1, but I still get just 1. 1 is 1. If I remove the bracket here, I get x squared minus 8x, because minus 4x minus 8x, and a plus 16 equal to 1. Now, you know from previous work that in order to solve a quadratic, you cannot solve it unless it's equated to 0. So x squared take 8x plus 15 is equal to 0. And then you could use quadratic formula now that you know quadratic formula. However, we can use our skills on factorising, which we've looked at earlier in the year as well. So x squared is x times x, 15, there are a number of options there, but 3 and 5 are the numbers to use. As I advised you, I would write 3 times x down. I would write 5 times x down, just to double check that you're doing it right, because we need to get minus 8, and you can see that that will happen as long as they're both negative. So therefore there's two answers. The first bracket produces the answer 3. The second bracket produces the answer 5. Repeat it with a second example similar. So again, as I said, write it as a fraction instead of a ratio. So x squared over 7x take 4 must be the same as 1 over 3. Well, if I put the 3 on the other side, divide 3 becomes a times 3. So I end up with 3 lots of x squared. If I move this 7x take 4 to the other side, it becomes a times. And I'm gonna just put the 1 there for now, but 1 times the 7x take 4 is literally just the 7x take 4. So I could have just written that. But in the same context that I put the 3 over there as a times 3, I've done the same there. Nevertheless, as I said in the previous example, I can only solve a quadratic, an x squared situation, if it's equated to nothing. So that 7x needs moving across. So I get minus 7x, and that 4 needs moving across. So plus 4. And then again, you have got options. You can go with the quadratic formula if you wish, though this one again should arguably factorise. 3x squared is only one way of getting it, 3x times x. However, 4 could be 2 and 2, could be 4 and 1, or it could be 1 and 4. To speed things up, I'm going to go with the 4 and 1 there, but it is a trial and error judgment there. 4 times x is 4x. 3x times 1 is 3x. And yes, those two I can make minus 7 as long as they're both minus. This one is the easy bracket, produces the answer 1. This one, some of you may well be able to say the answer straight away, but I can say that 3x has to be 4, the letter x has to be 4/3. A third example, similar to the previous, we've got x squared over 6 take 13x written as a fraction. We've got 1 over 5 writing that as a fraction. Take that across to the side becomes times 5. Take that across to the side becomes times 6 take 13x. But when I times that by 1, I get what I said. Now, if I move the 13x to the other side, it becomes a plus 13x. If I move the 6 to the side, it becomes a take 6. And again, has to equal 0. Again, you've got choice in how you solve it. Again, though, I'm going to go with factorisation, practicing our factorising. So 5x squared can only be written as 5x times x. Now 6, we've got options of 1 and 6, 6 and 1, 2 and 3, 3 and 2. And it might be when you're doing these off your own back, you get it wrong the first time, you just try something. If it don't work out, rub it out, try it the other way around. But I'm going to go with a 3 in there because I can get the 15x. 5 times 3, 15x. And that means that that has to be a 2 if I go with that option, because 2 times 3 makes the 6. Anyway, that gives me a 2x. And you can see that, yeah, to get 13, as long as that 15 is a plus, so as long as that 15 is a plus, and I take 2, so the 2's a minus, it'll work. Now, for that to equal 0, again, this bracket's the easy one, x plus 3, so one answer is x is minus 3. This one, again, I'll do it in 2 stages just in case you're not comfortable with it. 5x take 2 means that 5x has to be 2, which means that the letter x has to be 2/5. So there's your 2 options for that one. One more. Again, take the ratio, write it as a fraction. Take the second ratio, write it as a fraction. Now, because those ratios were equal to one another, those fractions must equal one another. Now, if I take the x plus 3 to the other side, I've got to times that x plus 2 by that x plus 3. If I take that 2 to the other side, I've got to times that 1 by that 2, so I get 2. A bit more complicated than the previous, in that I've got to remove this bracket next. X times x is x squared. 2 times 3 is 6. X times the 2 is 2x. X times the 3 is 3x. When I add them together, I get 5x. Has to equal 2. So x squared plus 5x plus 4 has to equal nothing. Doing the same as I've done in the previous. I cannot solve a quadratic unless it is equated to 0. Again, I'm going with factorising, and a little easier than the last two, because x squared is only x times x. 4 can be written as 2 times 2, or it can be written as 4 times 1. 4 times x is 4x. X times 1 is 1x, and I can easily get that to be 5 as long as they're both plus. So the solutions come out a little easier than the previous two, because that first one is minus 4, and that second one is minus 1.